All right, y'all. What's up? What's going on? It's Sugar More here. And this is where we're going to get into some things today. So, Authentic Glow Coaching presents, all right, a few topics for spring vlogging of 2026. Okay. Now, 2026, the past few, I've been discussing themes around recycling, and then they built upon each consecutive topic. So the first one we dealt with systems, the second one we dealt with a particular type of system, and now the third one we're going to do with what those systems actually sprouted from. So, what is that? What does that mean? Sprouting from different points in time is where we're going to land this vlog. So, you know, there were points where systems are put in place to ease the failure of lies. So, for an example, I work as a health unit coordinator at Cleveland Clinic here at the main campus down by the Ohio Cleveland inner city area. And I was brought in at the time I was applying for other roles. And I applied for, particular speaking, a role through Area Temps, which y'all probably already know through the grapevine that I've been through that particular service for some time. So I'm familiar with those particular type of entities that are there. So, with that being said, I had two opportunities present themselves at the exact same time. And I went with the particular one because it's closest at that particular point in time. And that was really the main reason. And I wasn't sure what the other one was. It was just so up in the air. And I just was like, I'm pregnant. I'm already riding quite a bit on some of the things that are going on. My daughter's pushing us all over the place, it's moving on, be still. And I did not feel as though that was appropriate for that particular point in time. Daughters is way too older to have kids. And so I went ahead and did it anyway. Now I get down there and this constant friction, and I never will kind of get over that. And that's why that's a really good point for this particular vlog. So I decided to even keep some things to myself because I always want to check out what the energy is like. So mind you, that's number one. So whenever you go into places, always check people's energies. So that kind of preserves and protects you from their drama that is inevitable. Number one. Now, especially when it comes to dealing with lies, when you get into these environments and these healthcare settings and these jobs and these anything that you do for goals, anything of that nature, there are haters that are just main purpose is to kind of sort of feel like they're gonna knock you off. So what they'll do is they'll start to tell lies. So the lies are really small. They're probably not even something that people even notice. They're so irrelevant. And that's why they tell them. They're easy to cover up. That's why they call white lies, small lies. So, I'm a very, 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 very quiet person. It's shocking sometimes the amount and level that I can get to when I'm unwilling to speak or talk to anybody. That's scary. That's that. But again, very powerful because of that attentionality. So when someone is saying something and you so quiet as you are, it just immediately looks crazy. So you have to realize, but even though that does come off this way, why is that even still being said? That's where you have to get your systems and put that in place so that it weeds out that noise because it's all that it is, noise. Now, indecision. Indecisiveness is another really big no. A decisive person is an energy that you spot immediately, right away. And right away is not because they think that's a good thing, but right away because it's an obvious thing. And the energy that is poured into indecision is such a leak and waste. So not only are you failing to practice mindful consumption, but you're leaking energy in a manner that is in a profession that deals with multi-billions of dollars. Okay, so that energy again gives off very bizarre. So indecision. You like me, but the next day or two, you can't make up your mind to stick with that decision that you thought from yesterday. So now you calling somebody else in the office. Or it appears and presents itself as, well, I thought this was going to be a good role, and then I backpedal. So now I'm going to give you a write up, and I'm going to make it look as though it's your fault. So now you have this mirroring effect. You have the image that was presented, and then you have a completely different one that is put in its place. So now they looking at one another, but the images are not lining up. Indecisive. So again, so indecision looks as though it's a mismirroring effect. It's kind of sort of like a technical glitch. Like you have the mirror app on your phone, you want to get it to your TV, but it's so difficult and trying because the images need to actually mirror and face one another and give identical images. Okay. Not the last week's images and the prior week image has already been contorted. No, the last week, previous week, they need to match and be identical. Okay. And that's where the weird energy comes in at from bosses. Now, I've had multiple weird bosses for real that give off energy, but since we're going to focus on Cleveland Clinic, this particular the boss that gives off that indecisive energy is weird. That is why the energy is weird. So you equate being unable to make a decisive thought solidify into a manifestation of something that helps your unit comes off as that inability, which can give that energy of weird. Okay. And again, that's a mindset that you want to watch out for. That's something that you want to kind of distance yourself from. You want to feel competent. You want to feel as though you can rely on people to make the appropriate decisions and stick to them, with them, no matter what is thrown at those particular types of entities. That's how you scale and succeed in your business and companies, especially where you find yourself at in those higher ticket and bracket type of companies, whether it's Fortune 500s, whether they're on Wall Street, New York, the S&P 500, you know what I mean? Whether it's just a survey throughout that kind of ranks the top 10 employers that you may want to manifest and find yourself in. But whatever it is, you need to find that harmony within those companies and their missions so that you all can scale together, not against and being where you're feeling as though you're flaking and so on, all of this weirdness. Okay, then you have those moments where this kind of softens the blow. When you find that that's something that is surrounding you in an environment, you can lean into that idea of compensation for your time and effort and being subjected to these particular types of thoughts. Now, that's like the holy grail of being able to say, yes, I was here, I showed up, I had the outfits, I'm trying my best, I have my degrees, I have everything in place that's necessary. The ducks are in a row, and yet and still somebody has chosen to continuously give off that particular weird type of energy day after day. That gives that particular type of compensatory measure its first foothold. Now that you have that, which of course the haters are hating that, they don't like, but again, mindfully watch that. Even though they dislike that about what's taking place, that does not equate and or mean the same idea that you as an entity or whatever it is that you had going on at the same time in Tokyo. Even though that hatred is still very solidified, we totally understand that means that that's something else that you still are going to have any other way, because at that particular point in time it's an inevitable process. Now you have that. So and as you go forward and think about that for what it is that you want to scale and manifest, then just keep that in the forefront that you have to watch your bosses. Even the coolest ones can flake. Even the coolest ones are subject to the whims and the wind flowing whatever way that they may find that they flow for that day. Okay. Some of them are a little less anchored in reality than we may would have liked. There's the micromanagement, there's the indecisive management, there's the management who just constantly wants to be your friend, don't want to manage nothing, no responsibility at all whatsoever. And just be mindful that when you stick through all of that drama, eventually you will find a compensatory mode and method for all of those things. And that's really where the soft cushion lands. And it's like, you ever seen on the commercials and like the kid shows and things like that, and then it goes pew, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, they just bounce. There's a pack of feathers that just breaks their fall. That is what compensation does when you find that those appearing leading type of entities are behaving in that weird manner. You can always rest assured that compensation is necessarily not there today or tomorrow, but definitely has sniffed that out and is most likely around the corner. Because again, that particular type of things like that are, once, like I was saying earlier, is inevitable. Okay, so get you some cushions and some pillows, support your back, and look forward to your compensatory um, thoughts based off all of the weirdness that people like to sow. And rest assured in the power of that manifestation as being inevitable. Okay, now there's that video. So I hope that you all have liked and enjoyed and got some use out of this particular type of content as well. So make sure that you like, subscribe, and follow. And I will talk to you all again soon. If you have some other questions, something that I did not answer here, you can always leave a comment. You can also go and sign up for some sessions if you want to take something further than the YouTube blog so that you can figure out how to necessarily handle some of these issues that you may see as well. I look forward to helping you all there. So thank you again. This is where we put the cute in client confidence because our clients simply glow. These are our glow ticket topics where we have conversations that truly matter. With that being said, I'll talk to you all again soon. Signing off in our beautiful pink and green beauty. Y'all have a good day.